Many translators do really well in their careers, but late payments are a big problem. And it's something that can really hurt, I think, personally. So like if you are getting paid late and that coincides with something else in your life, like a medical expense or like your car has a problem or whatever, like late payments are just crushing. And I've had late payments in my career too, and it's pretty much the worst thing. So then I think bargaining and bidding. So there's a lot of platforms where you can bid for jobs that encourage translators to bid against each other. And then you just have the constant bargaining going on with potential clients where they're reaching out and they're trying to get you to lower your rates all the time. Fifthly, it can be difficult to distinguish yourself as a translator, I think. So this is my interpretation of the problems, but like when we create online profiles, they often look the same or similar no matter how hard we try. And then it's just difficult in the industry, I think, to make it clear that, okay, I have all of this experience and this means that I am a better translator, or that it's difficult to prove that. And then the last thing is that a lot of platforms are creating a race to the bottom, which kind of goes in with that bidding thing. So like when I think about translation technology, I don't think that a lot of it has been like a clear win for translators. Like a lot of it is good for translators. But a lot of what has gone on in the industry in the last, I don't know how many years, hasn't really been great for translators. And so we're hoping to change that. So this is how I think we can help. The first thing is just we've built a platform that I'll do a short demo before like question time. And we've tried to make it so that the profiles that translators create here are beautiful and that allow you to distinguish yourself and make yourself unique, which is important for clients too, right? Because they're looking for a translator that they can know and love for years and years and years and build a long-term relationship. So we started by just trying to make good profiles. Secondly, it's a no bargaining platform. So there's no job board, there's no bidding on anything. When translators set their prices on Zingword, those are your prices. And the idea here is that customers come to you and your prices are just upfront. Thirdly, so like we do a lot of marketing. So we're going to be marketing the translators' services all across the internet. I can't go into too much detail about how we do that, but it's in a lot of ways, I think what we're doing is we're using the same sort of marketing methods that a lot of large language service providers would use. Instead of marketing our language services, we're marketing translator services directly. We're promoting higher prices. So like within the platform, I think we'll see now, you'll notice that nobody can sort by price. There's no job board, there's no bidding, there's no easy way to just try to find the cheapest option. And then now we're in beta, like some translators have brought up with us the possibility of including a price floor. And I think that's a very intriguing possibility for us as well. So actually limiting the minimum price that a translator can charge to try to do whatever we can to prevent this sort of like race to the bottom thing. Then we are validating each translator. So this is actually it's very expensive, and but we are manually validating each translator as best we can. So for beginning, it's sort of a minimum thing, but we would like to go as far into that as we can. So that way, when a translator is a professional translator and they're like a true professional, that they can come to Zingword and know that all the other translators there are also true professionals. And that's, I think, really important for the success of translators on Zingword, and then also for the success of Zingword too. And then finally, we'll be helping clients find you in other software via our API. So clients that are using different softwares, different TMS solutions, wherever they're doing their work, they'll be able to use our search API and find translators that are specialized in exactly the thing that they're doing via Zingword directly in the software that they use. All right, so I'm gonna do a short demo now, and let's check how much time I have. All right, so like, I think we wanna save like 10 minutes for questions. So I'll just run through. So this is a demo profile of Andrew Driver, and this is on our beta. So this is the actual software application. And this is what a translator profile looks like. So we've tried to limit the number of subject matters that a translator can choose to 3. And then underneath that, translators can choose additional topics within those. And all of those get into the search results and the search criteria, so that when companies are looking for a new translator to hire, all of this data goes into their search results. Then we have, like, there's a little subheading area here. So you can write, like, if you specialize in arts and culture, you can write more information about exactly what it is that makes you special in arts and culture. Then we have some of the regular stuff like language pairs. And then I think one of the exciting things we've just done during the beta, which is completely new. So for those who have already published profiles on the beta, we have revamped the About Me section already. And we now make it possible to use headings. So this is the heading 1, heading 2, bullets and numbers in a way that looks really good. And people can also include links now. And the reason for that is because, like, since we built the platform, I think that LinkedIn has really kind of exploded, and people wanted to write more text, and they wanted to, share more information about their services. And so we found that we actually had to make this part of the profile more extensive. Then we have some highlights areas. We have references, which are actually references that you collect. So they're not reviews that come from our platform, but they're actually references from people you've worked with or people you know. And we will be connecting to LinkedIn, not right now, but in the future, so you can import LinkedIn references that you've already collected. But that's a feature that's on the roadmap. So here you have prices, and what's kind of neat is that people can actually upload documents to your directly to your profile, and they can get a price quote from you based on the prices that you've already set. So let me go grab a couple of documents here. Test files. Okay, so it supports like basically all of the same formats that are supported by most CAT tools. This technology is actually the same technology that powers MateCat. And so for this test, I'm going to grab some JSON files. And what it will do is it will actually count the words, and then it will display the best price estimate for the language pair and for that specific field. So this is kind of doing its thing now. It's analyzing the documents. And while it does that, we can go out to the search page here and take a look at how the search works. So now we're really on like the client side. And I think that what clients need, especially direct clients, to be able to work with translators directly, is they need, first of all, quick access to the translators. So like if you're trying to build a team of translators, even translators that you're going to work with for the next 5 years, like you just need to be able to find them. And you need to be able to find them quickly. So what we've built here is a super fast search. So I've typed in English and poof, so you can type in your search, and then you can search by other criteria, specializations, cat tools, subject matters, all of this good stuff. And then you can actually quickly build a team. And you can do this for different language pairs. So I'm going to grab a couple more language pairs here. Yeah, like English to Finnish. I'm just doing this for a demo. This in practice, this would take a little bit longer, right? So potential customers can quickly build teams. And you can see that you're getting a price estimate for each translator, but you can't sort by price. So the results are always ordered by expected credibility, and they're not ordered by price. Because again, we don't want clients to be trying to find the cheapest price, because that's not going to be good for them. It's also not good for translators, right? But we have to have the prices, because that's one of the things that prevents direct clients from working directly with translators. Because if they don't know how much it costs, then they have to request quotes from several different people, and then the whole thing just kind of like breaks down. All right, how much time do we got here? A few minutes, right? So potential clients, and this is all really thought up for direct clients, like small and medium-sized businesses in particular. They can manage they can quickly build a team. They can manage all the languages. And then from here, they are able to see a summary of the translators. They fill out this form, and then they arrive to a project page. And this project page is basically, it's a single page where Zingword is trying to find the first available translator, where translators and clients can discuss with each other about the project. And then you can manage deliveries there. But ultimately, at the current time with the beta, how translators work with the clients is up to them. And it's up to the clients and the translators to work that out. So in that regard, once you get to that point, it's just like the real world, where you have to talk to this person, and you have to establish your payment terms and make sure that you can trust this person and all of that kind of stuff. But next year we'll be adding, well, next year already, we're in 2021. So hopefully this year we'll be adding the ability to receive payments there. And when that happens, then we have late payment protections, so that whenever translators receive a job via zingword.com, they're guaranteed their payment on time. And the client in that respect is also guaranteed a certain level of quality. And we think with that, we can solve the issue with late payments. So that's a pretty speedy demo, a super fast demo of the platform. And I'm sure that there's probably a lot of questions, but that's essentially how the platform works and looks. And okay, how are translators validated, from Ellen? Okay, are you guys going to moderate the questions now, or do I just start answering them?
I think you can answer Ellen's question, and
okay.
Are you going to be with us at the end of this session in the Q&A?
I can be, yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be best, because we can actually start a conversation, more meaningful conversation between.
Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just quickly answer that question then. So how are translators validated? That's a super good question. It depends on how much money we have. So like it's extremely expensive to validate translators. The minimum amount of validation that we will do is, first of all, validating the identity of the translator using what we call a selfie system. So we can basically make sure that translators are not stealing the identities of other translators. Then we validate their actual Zingword profile. So someone is paid to actually look at that profile and sort of try to, it's subjective, but try to make sure that it meets certain criteria. Then we're also going to be looking at all of the online presence of translators. So just looking for anything on the internet that we can find that shows us that this translator is a professional translator that's, you know, participating in the industry. Now, that's just the minimum amount of validation. The maximum amount of validation, and I think that this is our sort of like ultimate vision, would be to provide a kind of a transparent test. So when a translator performs a test for an LSP, the problem with this whole testing thing is that, first of all, this work is like not paid usually, right? And that's a problem. But then the second problem is that the test is owned by the LSP. So like you've just made a test for an LSP, okay, you passed this test. Nobody knows that that happened except that LSP. So consequently, translators have to do several different tests with several different agencies. And that's like a real pain in the butt. And then on the other side too, if you're a direct client or if you're an agency for that matter, when you are testing translators, it also costs them money to do the review. So I think the ultimate amount of validation we would like to have is to have a very large test matrix that allows for very specific tests in all the different language combinations for different fields, different types of translations, and then make the test itself somehow transparent and public so that translators can comment on the test. It's like almost like an interface. And then you know, the test reviewer can review the test. There could be maybe the possibility to comment on what the reviewer said, et cetera, or request another review. And then that test would essentially belong to the translator. So it's like, okay, I've done this test. Now I've also been validated by Zingword with this, with that. And now if someone asks me for a test, it's like, okay, here I have my transparent Zingword test. You can see everything about this test. If you don't like this test, then maybe you ask me to do another test, but this is my test. And then at the same time, for people who are generally asking translators for tests, our goal would be to make this test so good that like when they are reviewing the test, they're like, okay, we don't need to ask for another test. Essentially a reusable test that is belonging to the translator and isn't siloed up, you know, within individual LSPs. Because I think that's kind of the crux of the thing, right? Like the having the database of translators is what powers an LSP. They don't want to share each other's translators, but consequently, the data about the translators and these tests that they are asked to perform, all of that stuff is held by the LSP and guarded very closely. And we would like to make that open. And I think that that would be our maximum amount of validation. Now, in the middle, there's like a whole bunch of other stuff. So we've discussed doing video interviews. We've discussed looking at work samples. We've discussed all kinds of different stuff like that. And what we do is ultimately going to depend on how much we can afford to do, because it's very expensive to do all of that. Okay, let's see what else we got here. What stops the customer from visually selecting the cheapest translator? Right, well, there's some different things going on here. So first of all, where did that question just pop up to? It kind of disappeared.
To the answered category.
Ah, right on. Yeah. Okay. So I will quickly answer that, and then I think we're out of time, right? I have 5 more minutes.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, I think the answer to the question, first of all, is that the answer isn't to not have a platform. So the answer isn't to say, you know, we have this problem where everyone's trying to get the cheapest thing all the time, so we can't have a platform. So let's start by saying I think that's not the answer. The answer that we're trying to come up with here is, first of all, you can't sort by price. So when you do a search, you get your combinations. All of them are ordered by expected credibility. So we're trying to present the client with what the system thinks is going to be the best translator for them to work with and hopefully to establish a relationship with. Secondly, there's no job bidding, right? So we mentioned that before, but there's just literally no job board or no job bidding here. Now, it is possible for a client to scroll, oops, sorry, technical thing. Okay. All right, so it is possible for a client to scroll and compare prices. In that regard, we've also put a load more button here. So you can only see so many translators at a time. You can't just like, it's not like a huge list of like all the translators ever, and then you can just do like a find or something. So we've tried to slow people down with the load more. So there's also that. I think those are in our interface, the two main ways in which we've tried to prevent that from occurring. But again, I mean, you might think like, oh, the answer is to not show any prices. But, the act of not showing any prices is one of the things that prevents clients from just working directly with translators, because it creates friction. So what we want to do is try to make it easier for direct clients to work with translators, and in a way that is frictionless, right? Or as frictionless as possible. So making it as easy as possible for them to work with translators. And I think that's the best answer, but it is tricky, right? Like the prices are there, and it is possible for them to compare prices. It's not like they can't compare at all, but we have, we're actively trying to promote the quality services. We've also, we're considering putting in a pricing floor. There are things you can do. I think that as a platform, the choices that you make ultimately affect all the people in your platform. And so what we want to do is try to always make the choices that are making it easier for direct clients to work with translators while also maintaining their prices. And that's, maybe there are creative ideas that people have or might want to share about how we can do that.
Okay.
All right, so the last 2 minutes, I don't know if I have any more questions there, but for translators out there that are interested in getting involved, we have beta invites. So when you sign up, you get like a launch email, but actually the beta invitations are unique invitations that you need to get into the beta. So if anybody wants one, you can just follow up with me on LinkedIn or something like that. And I'd be happy to share a beta invite. Jules is on the Twitter and stuff, Facebook and LinkedIn. So we do all kinds of fun stuff there. If anyone would like to interview us or anything like that, I'm always around. And then fourthly, we're going to be hiring a lot of people now. And well, hopefully. And we would like to hire translators. So not just for translation, but translators who are interested in getting involved in other things like marketing or events, or even working on the product or being part of testing, writing documentation. Like, if this project is interesting to you or you see something special in it and you think maybe you would like to take part in it in a way that's not translating, then also you can just reach out to me on LinkedIn.